אהלן חברים, שלום לכולם. אנחנו במפגש של אוטומוקס. אוטומוקס זה מערכת, בעצם זה פלטפורמה מבוססת ענן, שהתפקיד שלה בעצם לאפשר לארגונים, לאפשר לכם כריסלרים או כלקוחות, לשפר את האבטחה בנקודות הקצה. הוא מאפשר לכם בצורה אוטומטית ויעילה לבצע עדכוני אבטחת מידע על תחנות, על שרתים, מערכות הפעלה, Windows, Linux, Mac, וכמובן כל למעלה מ-800 סוגי אפליקציות בתוך המערכת. בנוסף, המערכת יודעת לאפשר לנו להריץ אוטומציות מתקדמות באמצעות סקריפטים ותהליכים מובנים בתוך המערכת, ואנחנו הולכים עכשיו לקבל הדרכה על אופן השימוש במערכת, איך אנחנו בעצם יכולים לקחת את זה כמה צעדים קדימה, איך אנחנו יכולים לנהל את הסביבה שלנו ולהגן בצורה הרבה יותר טובה על סביבת העבודה, על המשתמשים, על התחנות, על האפליקציות והכל. So we will switch to English. Matt is from Automox. He will start the presentation. Please.
For sure. Can you guys hear me okay through Mustafa's speaker? Is that okay?
Loud and clear. Yeah.
Perfect.
Good to hear. Yeah, so hi guys, great to meet all of you. Just from my perspective, I'm Matt Brown. I'm the channel manager here at Automox who manages the EMEA region. So thanks to you all for joining the session today. Sharon probably touched on it a little bit there, but we're going to launch into Mustafa's going to launch into a demo of the Automox platform, and we'll run through exactly how we're helping organizations and resellers like yourselves with some of their patching requirements, whether that's on all cross-platforms, so whether that's on a Windows estate, on a Mac estate, or Linux. We have the capabilities to look after all of those and a host of over 550 third-party applications too. So that's just a little bit about who we are and what we do. I'll hand over to Mustafa, who will go through the platform in a little bit of depth. And if there's any questions off the back of it, I'm sure he'll say, if you guys want to kind of jump in and ask questions throughout, more than happy to kind of answer anything off the bat. And if not, we'll have 10-15 minutes at the end of the session where we can kind of do a Q&A as well. But with that, I'll hand over to Mustafa. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. Yeah, thank you, Matt. And as Matt said, I actually am perfectly okay with people jumping in with questions during the call. You know, so if you did want to do that, that's absolutely fine with me. But having said that, you know, we are now into the actual platform itself, so I can show you around here. This is what you see when you log into the dashboard. So we're giving you some information about high-level metrics about what's going on your infrastructure. On the left-hand side there, you see some troubleshooting. So we've got these different categories, and you can click through and look at for the devices that are affected by those issues that I mentioned. But more importantly than the troubleshooting, I think, is over here on the right-hand side. You can see that we are presenting you with information about outstanding patches, and we are doing it in a way that gives you information relevant to patching SLAs, because the patching SLAs really depend on two things. Number one, severity levels of outstanding patches, and number two, how long the patches have been outstanding as well. And if we go down a little bit further, you can see here that we can deploy to Windows, and that includes Windows Desktop and Windows Server, Mac, and multiple different flavors of Linux. What I'm going to do very shortly is I'm going to go into the patch policy page to show you how to create those policies. But just before I do that, I want to show you in two different pages some useful bits of information which show you how you can be very specific about what devices and what software you want to patch. So the first place I'm going to go is to the devices page. And in this page, as you can tell, these are all separate devices. And I'm going to concentrate on these two columns here. We've got one which is called groups and another one which is called tags. These columns are labels that we can assign to devices. I'm going to go down to about here. Now, for these labels, we can assign them just like this. Select one or more devices, go to the actions button, and then select assign to group. or apply tags, and that allows us to assign these labels to the devices. The difference between these two labels, and you might be able to tell, is with group, you can only assign devices to one group at a time. With tags, you can assign multiple, and the reason why that's helpful is because, let's say I did not want to patch every device in this group, and I wanted to patch some devices in this group as well. The easiest way to do that is not to create smaller groups, it's just to give them a different label, so you can give them each device as many tags as you want, and that allows you to be very granular when you are defining your patch policy. So we've looked at devices, and now we're going to look at software, and software allows us, some of the information in software allows us to target specific patches as well. On the left-hand side here, you can see we've got operating systems, so you can specify, I only want to patch a Linux device or even a specific kind of Linux device. And we've also got severity rating, so if you did want to, you could specify critical, high, medium, etc. as well. Having looked at those, we can now move over to the patching page. And just before we jump into the patching page, you can see we've got multiple different types of patch policy. We've also got the required software policy, which can allow us to deploy software as well as to patch the software that we do not natively support. And then we've also got worklets, and worklets it's a fancy name for shell scripts, so that we can automate the sending of shell scripts out to either a targeted group of small number of devices or at scale across our entire infrastructure. I'm now going to go back up to the top, and I'm going to begin with an advanced policy. And before we do anything here, I want to show you around the page, because I want you to see just how easy it is to patch, or rather to create a patch policy in this platform. So I'm going to go down that far, because that is all of the config that needs to be done to create a patch policy. And beneath this, we've got the user notifications. So in other words, when the user has got a patch or a restart due, how you can configure how they interact with the agent and what options they have. I'm going back up to the top. And before we create this policy, so the policy I'm going to create is going to be patch third-party applications only. And to create a patch policy in Automox, you need to answer 3 questions. The questions are: number 1, what applications do you want to patch? Number 2, what devices do you want to patch? And number 3, when do you want the patching to happen? So we've selected up here advanced. So I'm going to give this policy a name, third-party patches only. And then I'm going to move down to the package targeting here, expand this. I'm going to select the top option, which is patch source. And up here, you can see I can select any of these vendors to patch from. I'm going to select Windows Update. I need to change something here. You may have noticed. So this says patch something as long as the patch source is Windows Update. I don't want to patch the Windows operating system. I actually want to patch the third-party apps. And I just need to make one small change to do that. I need to flip the condition is around to is not. So I'm now saying patch everything that is not Windows Update. In other words, third-party applications. We can add some additional bits to this logic. So I can add another filter right there. For example, let's say I wanted to exclude a specific application. I can come here and select display name, does not contain. Let's say I don't want to patch Citrix. So I'll put in Citrix right there. And now I've specified I do not want to patch. I want to patch all third-party applications except for Citrix. We do have other options as well. You can even make this more granular. You can come down here and say any third-party application as long as it is high or critical. And sorry, just give me 1 sec. And if you wanted to, of course, you could even eliminate these 2 up here. So eliminate the one for patch source and display name and just patch the highs or criticals as well. For the moment, we're going to stick with this config. This means that we've answered the first question on our of our 3. So we'll come back up here, move on to the second question, which is going to be answered. The second question being, what devices do you want to patch? We're going to target them in groups. I'm going to come down here, select 2 groups. There's a total of 23 devices here. If I did not want to patch all 23 devices, I need something that allows me to be more specific. That thing is this box here, which is device targeting. So I'm going to select from the left-hand side. I can select any of these tags, which we mentioned earlier: IP address, host name, OS, OS version, ADOU. I'm going to go for OS version is, and then I'm going to hit the arrow next to the box to be more granular. Whoops, I meant to hit the arrow just like that. So I can actually select a very specific version of Windows 11 or any of these other operating systems as well. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to hit Windows, which I did. And then I'm going to make sure that it's going to hit the correct devices by hitting preview. So I've got 5 Windows devices amongst those 23. So I'm going to hit preview, and 5 Windows devices have come up. So I'm happy that's working well. That means I can move on to the third question, which is the schedule. You can see a few different options here. First of all, we can select Patch Tuesday plus an offset. You can do 0, or you can do up to 14 days, or you can just do a custom date, and you can use this config right here. So we're doing third party only, which is usually done every week or so. So I'm going to select all weeks on a Tuesday, and then we can configure the time as well. That's 12 a.m. I'm going to make it 12:05 p.m. And then I'm going to tick this box, which says that if a device is offline at 12:05, patch the device the next time it comes online. Right there. You can obviously also alter this. Let's say you had a patch all policy. Patch alls are usually done monthly, so you may want to go like that: second Tuesday of the month, third Tuesday of the month, first, third, fifth Tuesday of the month, whatever you want. This schedule is definitely configurable enough to be able to hit most of your business needs. I'm going to pause there for a moment because I need a drink for my throat. But in the meantime, if anyone had a question, feel free to let me know. All right. I'm going to show you now down here the notifications. So you see right here, the first thing is you can have restart notifications, but you can turn them off completely as well. Up here, restarts. Do you want restarts to happen after your patch? A lot of the time, people with server infrastructure will want to turn this off. That is literally enable, disable option. And then we've also got install notification configuration and restart notification. So you can configure these. You can also, I'm going to take away these 2 options here because these are no longer used now. But what we are configuring here is the deferral options. So how long does the user have to install a patch or a restart? Well, how long depends on what you configure. So up here, you see up here in the tray, this is called the Automox tray. And it's saying to me, your computer is currently up to date. But if a patch or a restart was due, this thing would give me a deadline, a specific date and time by which the device needs to be patched or restarted. And that deadline is calculated using these 2 values here. So you see right here, it's 6 hours at the moment because it's 1 times 6. So I could change this to 10 times 6. Just like that, so it's 60 hours. So you can configure this using this. This is the old config, by the way. That will be replaced by a more sensible way of doing the config. They just needed to change it to get the product out, which, thankfully the feature is now available. Yeah, so if you're wondering why it's slightly complicated config, it will be changed very soon as well. But that is the deferral options that we have. And I'm going to come back up to the top now. I'm trying to think if we missed anything here.
About the application, the patch, is there a way to see, the application that are currently we try to patch? For example, you said in the patching targeting, you said that you don't want a Windows update and you don't want Citrix and only patch severity high. Can I see the list of the application that you're going to patch?
You can see the preview gives you some indication of that, but it shows all possible applications. So if I hit that, you can see, sorry, I need to specify Windows in there. So let's just quickly add patch OS is Windows. And then if I hit this, it will show me all possible applications which could be patched. But I may wish to, oh, by the way, sorry, that looked really short, probably because of this. So let's get rid of that just to, okay, so you see right there, 114 potential applications that could be patched. But where you would really see what is going to be patched is going to be in the reports page.
Okay.
And then you head down to the pre-patch report. So if I select my devices, let's go here. And this is going to give me, because this is based on the policy that has been configured. So I'm sure that, for example, this device has got more patches available, but what is going to be patched on this device is Zoom. And then this device, KeyPass, Clockify, Zoom, Slack, so you can see indeed what is about to be patched in this page right here.
Okay.
And by the way, you can also click through to a device. Let's click through to a device to give you some additional information. So you remember there was the devices page that we looked at earlier, or we can click through to the device from this page. So let's click on that device. And this is now, in contrast to the device, the list of devices page, this is now a specific device page. Up here, we are looking at some hardware information, some network information. So the status of the agent, you can see it's been disconnected for a while, 2 months ago. But if I scroll all the way down, I now have access to all of the applications that have been installed on this device. So you can see, first of all, it's giving you KBs, Windows updates that have been installed. But also it's telling you about third-party applications. So this one I can see has got Parallels and Notepad++, but these are the latest versions. I know that because if another version was available, like in this case, it would be listed up here and it would say update available. In this case, there is one application where it says update available, which is Zoom. We can select it from here. Let's pretend there was a few of these. Okay, let's pretend there's 2. We can actually select them from here, hit bulk actions, and then hit patch. So we can actually patch on a device by device basis as well, if we want to be that granular. And you can actually do the same thing in the software page. So I'm going to go to the software page. And because we have ordered by impacted, all of these applications are available to patch. And let's say I just wanted to patch the critical stuff as well. So I've selected it from here. And then I can see, I can see quite a few devices. I can click through and find out what devices are affected by this. But maybe I don't care what devices. I just want to get that patched. So I can scroll to the right, hit the actions column, and then select and hit patch now. So you can both see the applications which are available to update. You can see those that are going to be updated in the report page, and you can actually take action by selecting those applications either on a specific device or across your infrastructure as well. So you have multiple options that you can pursue.
Okay, thanks.
All right, we had a look at advanced.
Mustafa, just a quick question regarding like the softwares and patching. You said like for the what could the client do with or how could a client do? And sorry, how could a client know how to patch the failed ones, like the apps that failed to be patched? How could you know about it and get like the reporting of it?
So if we head over to the reports page, we've got a few places that you can follow this. We've got the activity log and the policy results report. So let's head to the policy results report. I'm looking for something that's red here so that we can investigate it further. I haven't set this up to look all green, by the way. I usually can find a red quite easily. Here we go. Okay, so we've got a red here. So we can click on the red and we can investigate why this has happened. So if we expand, so So this is a script, I think, because it's not a specific installer. It's saying uninstaller not found. Okay, so this would appear to be a script, but let's pretend this was a patch. One of the frequent issues that we get with patches is that it will say, for example, Notepad++ is an example. Notepad++ was not patched because it was running. That means that, so first of all, you have access to the error codes either in the activity log. The activity log, you can literally just expand and see what it says. Or you have access to the policy results report. In both of these, the important thing is that you get access to what has gone wrong. In this case, the script has not been written to find the actual location of the uninstaller, okay? But in other ones, you may get specific error codes, generic error codes. You'll find out what to do, hopefully, from this page, and then you can take action against it later on. So if it was Notepad++ was needs to be shut down, we can help you by shutting it down for you. We have a process for that. If it's a different error code, you need to investigate what causes that error code and then send a fix out to those devices. So we can help you out both in terms of telling you about it as well as helping you to take action against what the error is. All right, let's head back to the policies page. A couple more types of policies to show you. First of all, patch all. I mean, patch all is pretty obvious what it is. I don't need to do any additional config here. Patch all literally means patch the operating system and patch the third-party applications that Automox supports. So it's pretty easy to figure that out. And then we've got, let's look at manual approval. Manual approval is going to be used mainly in server environments, and it is a patch all process. The difference is nothing is patched until someone comes into the manual approval page and then selects one or more patches. So these are looking for approval. They will not be pushed out before approval is given. I can select one or more and then hit the approve button right there. And the final one to show you is these two, patch only and patch accept, which use the exact same config. The difference is the end result. So with a patch accept, the applications I select are the only ones that are not patched. I'm going to go for patch only instead. So I've selected patch only and I come down to this config box right here. I can either select from what's in front of me, or I can type in the name of an application and select it when it appears. So again, really simple config for that particular patch process as well. Again, I'm going to pause there. You know, we've seen most of the config options available in terms of patch policies, but maybe you guys have got a use case that I haven't covered here. So if you do, feel free to let me know and we can discuss that further.
I'm going to open the mic for everyone. Okay, so if you have questions, please feel free to allow mic. Yeah, everyone can. Sure. Yeah, everyone can now jump into the call. Okay, we had someone asking, do you have a patch rollback?
We've got two different things you can do. The first one is patch rollback is used most often for Windows OS updates. So if we go into the worklet catalog, and you might ask, well, what's the worklet catalog? This is some predefined worklets, fancy name for shell scripts. So these are predefined. We've got hundreds of these available, ready to use. Inside this catalog is one called rollback Windows patches. If we select that, you can see that the description that our engineers have put in, you can either select the KB, a single KB, or multiple, and then you just enter it in here. And then you send it out to your devices using the same user interface that we saw earlier with groups, device targeting, etc. All you have to do is just select create policy up here, and you're in this very familiar page that we used a couple of minutes ago. So yeah, we do have rollback for Windows operating system. For if you did want to roll back a third-party application, if we head back to the worklet catalog, the options that you have are basically to use an app, a worklet like this one, uninstall specific app by name, come in here, give the name of the app to this script, and it will look for it and uninstall it, and then you can, so it would uninstall the new version of the app, and then what you could do is go back to the patch policy page and then deploy the old version of the app using the required software policy. So if I hit Windows here, you can see the install file button. I can actually upload a MSI or an EXE and then just put in the correct syntax and then send it out for a silent install. So it's basically the process for the third-party app would be uninstall the new version of the application, deploy the old usable version of the application.
Perfect. Questions, anyone?
All right, I'm going to move forward. It sounds like there were no more questions. And what we are going to look at now is the, whoops, looks like I created a policy. I don't even know what I created there. So we're going to come down here to the worklet policy. And the worklets, as mentioned, it's shell script. So here, up here at the top, you can select the operating system. So when it's Windows, it's going to be PowerShell. Mac and Linux is going to be Bash. The user interface, you can see it's very similar. Groups, device targeting. For the script itself, you can see that we've got both a payload and an input. That input is a secret over here on the right-hand side. So when I enter, let's say, an API key or a password that I want to use in the script, the user will not be able to see that. Instead, they will refer to the variable using a variable name that we have entered earlier, without actually putting out in the open what the value of the variable is. And then you've got the boxes for the code, 2 boxes for the code. It's in an if X then Y format. So the top block is a conditional. If it outputs an exit 1 is when it will move down beneath. If you don't want to use the conditional, then you can just type in an exit 1 and it will move beneath anyway. But in addition to that, we've got the AI assistant right here. So we can click on that and give it an instruction. For example, check to see, sorry, we'll do this PowerShell script, which checks to see if Minecraft is installed on this device, if it is output exit 1. That's the type of thing that you might type in there. And, it will obviously be able to push this code out far quicker than you will be able to create that code yourself. Only kind of thing to mention there is that you would probably want to check the code to see whether or not it actually does what you want it to before pushing it out to all of your devices. So you can write that yourself, or you've got access to the resources on the right-hand side here. You've got a community worklet, which is where our users share worklets and other advice, for example, amongst themselves. Or you've got the worklet catalog, which we looked at just a little while earlier. We looked at a couple of specific ones here, but you can see on the left-hand side, first of all, the number of these, there's over 300. I think it's around 370. We've got across different operating systems, across different categories, okay? Instead of kind of going through these one by one, what we will do is we will go up here to the top and go to the policies page, where I've saved some of the most useful of these under this tag. And you can see I've given them a category myself. Okay, so we've got, for example, config ones, forensics ones, so that you can grab logs from the endpoints just to view them on your Automox dashboard. We've got manual tasks, so that we can help you to automate things that you don't need to be doing manually all the time. Operating system ones, not just rollback, but upgrade Windows version. Also remove Windows bloatware, which can obviously help to, bloatware can include a lot of old vulnerabilities. Security ones, whether you want to send firewall management settings out to your devices, disable remote logins, makes sense. And in addition to that, you can't just fix all vulnerabilities using a software update. Sometimes you have to fix them using a registry value change. By the way, if I type that in, you'll see that some of these, we've got a project going on at the moment to add worklets to help through specific certifications. The one that we've started out with is Cyber Essentials, you can see here, but that will likely move on to include other certs, for example, ISO 27001. Because obviously they have very similar requirements to each other. And one thing that's very useful about this is that, going back to the idea of the activity log, is that we give you the output of when you run a worklet. So it's unlike, let's say, Intune or group policy, which do not tell you why something has failed. They just tell you that something has failed, which is not that useful. I need to know why it's failed. And the other thing is, again, coming back to something like Intune, which people frequently use for these, is that Intune does things in its own time. You know, if I put something out at 11 o'clock, 3 days later, I can come back to it and find that, you know, 1/3 of my devices still haven't been touched by Intune, which is obviously a major problem for our users. And in terms of the reporting, you know, obviously I mentioned that we have that activity log right there, which you can access, you know, any of that output from the worklet that you've just created. But in addition to that, we now have this analytics piece. So we can give you specifics with regards to not necessarily success failure. You know, we saw success failure in the policy results report. This is more analytics, useful metrics that you can present. And if I come up here, this is both with regards to risk and vulnerabilities, for example, and patching. So you can actually move between these. So if I go to risk and mitigation, it's going to give me a mean time to remediate vulnerabilities. Okay, I can change, by the way, that's 9.2, which is the mean time to remediate. And this is my target MTTR. I can change, for example, my target is 7 days. I can actually change that to, let's say, 14 days. And then we'll update that particular metric. And it gives us other analyses as well, right? You know, known exploitable vulnerabilities. How many vulnerabilities have I fixed? Again, all of this is changeable up here. 90 days, I can change that to a different number. And a few other bits of analytics right here related to those vulnerabilities. And if we go over to the different tab, that was risk and mitigation. Let's just look at patching, not necessarily vulnerabilities. What about now? Mean time to patch. Achievement, you know, with regards to my target, which is again 7 days, I can change that. Patches applied by month. Again, a lot more analytics, applied packages by device count, applied packages by patch instance count. Huge amount of reports coming through there. One more kind of major feature I'm going to show you, which is the remediations. And this is where you can import manually a report, a VM platform report, as long as it's a CSV file from any of these providers, CrowdStrike, Qualys, Rapid7, and even a generic report. So that can be from anyone, as long as it is in this format right here. Or if you've got Rapid7, you can automatically import. You hit Add New, select Rapid7, get the API key, and it should be importing every day at the same time. Look at that. 11, 11. And then if we click into it, it tells us two things. Patchable vulnerabilities. Well, sorry, that's actually the number of packages, but the number of patchable vulnerabilities is this number, 160, in 4 different packets. So we can fix 160 vulnerabilities simply by updating the software. So if we scroll down, it gives us additional information here. Does it need a restart? What's the severity rating? What are the CVEs? What are the devices affected? I've got that information, but I suppose the most useful thing that we do here is we are telling you, well, all you have to do to fix it is to hit that remediate button. So we will actually send the patch out immediately to those devices. And then if we come back up to the top, to the middle, we've got these vulnerabilities, but these are, so we have 37 solutions, but these are rather fixable using a shell script because a patch is not available to fix them. And what that means is that you would have to go down here to fix details and pull through the information. This is an instruction from Rapid7. And if you follow that instruction and you create a worklet in that page I showed you previously, And then once you follow the instruction and saved the worklet, you can hit remediate with worklet right here. Select the one you prepared earlier. I'm just going to select one with the CVE. So let's say I prepared one of these earlier, select that one and then hit remediate. So it would actually push that out to those devices as well. So, you know, the aim behind both of these tabs is to help reduce the amount of time that you're spending fixing those vulnerabilities and more time doing other things, because no one wants to spend all day fixing vulnerabilities. And then, you know, in addition to that, other things that we have available are, you know, if I come over here to this page, this is where we can manage the number of zones. So a zone you can think of as being a different customer, or it might be a big part of your infrastructure. If you're very large, you might want to manage different parts of your infrastructure. So this zone right here, which has got 52 devices, is managed completely separately from these 38 devices right here. And what I can do is I can add users with different permissions in each of these. I can do it to a single user. I can add one user in this zone with one set of permissions and the exact same user in a different zone with a different set of permissions. And the permissions are with these roles right here. And you can see the permissions as I scroll across and down. And you also have custom roles available if you really need to create your own as well. You know, we looked at the devices page, but if we come here, we actually have additional things that you can do. You know, first of all, let me just click into a device to show you. Although we looked at this earlier, we saw that we have maybe 20 or 30 data points available right here. This is actually going to be significantly increased. We're going to have around 300 data points for each device. And that will allow us, if I come onto the previous page, to use the querying in a much more granular manner. So I can, right now, you can see, by the way, at the bottom of the screen beneath this search bar, I can change an attribute that I'm searching for. So I might look for a specific CPU equal to any of these. I'm going to go for Apple M2 Pro, and then it updates down at the bottom of the screen. So I only have one device with that. So let's change this to Pro Virtual. Okay, we've got more devices like that. So we've got 4. And then I can, you know, change this, add criteria, change the operator. Is it and or I want in between, etc., you know. But currently I can only use these attributes. When we have 300 or so attributes, we will be able to do much more granular querying of those devices. Yeah, the final thing to go into is going to be up here on the top right. You know, first of all, in terms of security, we can give you access to SAML if that's how you want to log in. Two-factor authentication is standard now for us. But if I click on my name, I can also set up notifications for when patches have succeeded or failed, or if you want when devices are added or removed from Automox as well. I'm going to leave it there because just to leave us some time for questions. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to jump in now.
I have a question. If I have a software or an application that I want to install and it's not on your list, how can I do it?
So we looked earlier at a policy called the required software policy. And in this page, you can see the configuration groups and device targeting. By the way, we don't deploy the applications that are on our list. We only update them. We do have a plan to allow the install deployment of those applications. But right now, the way that you install is you come into this page, upload the file right there. If it's an MSI, the syntax will already be in the MSI metadata. If it's an EXE, you would need to specify the syntax. Otherwise, you can use a default syntax, which usually works, and then send it out to your devices.
Perfect. Do you have also integration with the Tenable, or not only with the Rapid7?
Yeah. So any vulnerability management platform where we're able to kind of use those CSV files. With Rapid7, we have that API-driven integration where it automatically ingests that report every day and gives you that level of detail. With the other platforms, so Tenable, SentinelOne, CrowdStrike, all of the common ones that you would see on a day-to-day basis, we have the ability to import. You would have the ability to just import that as a CSV file, as much or as little as you want. And then it would give you the exact same actions off the back of that as you would have with the Rapid7 integration.
Perfect.
Another question from my side. I mean, a general one that I hear a lot is like, what is the recommended? Is there any recommended best practices for patch updates on Windows and macOS? And from your side,
I mean, best practice.
Generally speaking, yeah.
Sure. I understand. Best practice, I would say to anyone who has never done patching before, who doesn't have any specific requirements that they want me to help them with. Okay, I would say make sure we do a patch all kind of infrequently, like let's say every 2 weeks. If that's too much for them, let's do it every month at least. And then we will do a patch by critical in between, which is going to be patch, let's say anything that is high or critical every day or every other day so that we can get rid of those vulnerabilities. And if they are okay with it, let's do a patch third-party applications every week, because third-party applications usually are not going to break anything. But if you have anything you want to exclude, we can exclude that, but let's patch them a bit more often as well. That's the generic standard approach that we usually take.
For sure. Wonderful. Thank you. Sure. Any questions? Any more questions?
No, not from my side, guys. Everyone that is in is in this webinar. Do you have any other question? You need something? You want to get a demo? You want to get an environment? Whatever. Please let us know. And let me summarize this webinar. I think that Automox is a solution for small, medium, and of course enterprise customers. It can give you, as a reseller, as a technical guy, the workspace of all your customers. You can see everything that you need. You can manage and control all your environment, all your customers' computers, and get all the necessary data that you need in order to be more secure on the endpoint and the server's environment. As we said, in the platform, you have a lot of integration. You have a lot of you have a lot of application that you can deploy and you can patch. You have a lot of information that you can get from the endpoint, and that's it. It's an easy way to manage your environment. Anyone else?
Myself.
Yeah, please, Matt.
Yeah, no, I've echoed exactly what you just said there, right? And we're from a reseller perspective, we're more than happy alongside SpikeIT to help you guys, whether that be kind of setting up your own licenses to have your own demo environments, whether you need assistance kind of offering this out to some of your customers who you think this may be well suited for. We're doing a lot of work with customers across the region where they're either looking to replace kind of legacy systems like Manage Engine, Ivanti, SCCM, WSUS, where they're needing to kind of upgrade that into a more kind of modern cloud native tool. So we're more than happy to help out with any projects, and if you need any kind of further assistance from us or understanding of how we're licensed, that kind of thing, happy to jump on a call and chat with you guys alongside SpikeIT.
Sure. Any questions? Let me just add a small thing from my side. I mean, the fact that we can out of the box like patch over hundreds of different software, third-party software, straight from the Automox platform is a huge difference. I mean, in the most positive way, from a lot of a lot of the similar products for sure.
Yeah.
Like one big how can I say it, like big opportunity to test it, like see the capabilities.
אוקיי,
For sure.
בסדר, חוזר לדבר איתך. Okay, guys, thank you very much, and I hope to see you next time. Mustafa, thank you for the presentation, and see you next time. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you guys.